Pittsburgh is one of the two Peace cities in Pennsylvania. The city is packed full of charming 19th century buildings, yellow bridges, and brick streets. It's a city packed full of quirks and history. During the mid-18th century, the British and the French were fighting over inland North America in a worldwide arms race over which European country can have the most colonies. In 1754, the British built Fort Fitzgeorge on the forks of the Ohio River. The French tore down the British fort and constructed Fort Duquesne. During the war, the British captured Fort Duquesne and built Fort Pitt, named after William Pitt. Pitt named the settlement that sprung up around Fort Pitt, Pittsburgh. The French lost the war and lost lots of land. Fort Pitt and the surrounding town later became part of the United States in 1777. The settlement began to grow and grow over time. Pittsburgh is located in one of the most productive coal fields and is also rich in iron, petroleum, and natural gas. By the time the Industrial Revolution came, Pittsburgh became a hub of manufacturing in the region. The city built railways to connect it to the surrounding region, and the rivers as well connect the city. The burgeoning city produced any essential machinery it needed at the time. Andrew Carnegie, Charles M. Schwab, Henry Clay Frick all built their fortunes in Pittsburgh. When the 20th century rolled around, Pittsburgh had become even more of an industrial powerhouse than it already was. The city produced 60% of the nation's steel. Pittsburgh took on the nickname Smoky City, with its thick fog and rivers like open sewers. By the time the 1960s rolled around, the United States was experiencing deindustrialization. Pittsburgh tried to do every trick in the urban planning playbook at the time. A freeway system was built to connect downtown to the new sprawling suburbs. Neighborhoods were demolished in the name of urban renewal, and today, certain neighborhoods are being revitalized. Pittsburgh is a city of neighborhoods by sheer geography. The hills and the rivers isolate parts of the city from each other, creating neighborhoods. Pittsburgh can never lay out a citywide grid like other cities in the region. The slopes were too steep for even a loose grid of streets. Pittsburgh's attempts to make a grid succeed in some neighborhoods. However, on the city's hills, the streets were put in wherever they could fit. Pittsburgh's downtown has skyscrapers and the like. The area is flanked by office buildings and banks that people from all over the city commute to. There are many parks and plazas to bind downtown Pittsburgh together, including the city's riverfronts. The parks are places for people downtown to walk to after work or school. Downtown Pittsburgh has lots of mid to high-rise buildings and rectangular blocks. It's like New York, but it's not New York. It's Pittsburgh for many, many reasons. There's a disparity among the city's neighborhoods. Certain neighborhoods of Pittsburgh see massive investment, so people and businesses are flocking towards them. Other neighborhoods don't get any investment whatsoever, so they are filled to the brim with crumbling buildings and empty lots. Some Pittsburgh neighborhoods are more walkable than others. An example of this is the Hill District. What should be an area bustling with new residential towers with amenities within walking distance because of its proximity to downtown is instead a neighborhood filled with urban blight and abandoned lots. The Hill District has been cut off, isolated, and left to rot. Pedestrians have to cross 3 to 4 blocks of parking and, on top of that, multiple lanes of traffic from the highway and its frontage roads to get downtown. Even to the neighborhoods surrounding the Hill District is cut off by hills. Neighborhoods like Southside Flats, Bloomfield, and North Oakland are super walkable. These neighborhoods have more restaurants, grocery stores, and schools within walking distance of people's houses. These parts of Pittsburgh have a score over 90 on the website Walk Score, indicating a walker's paradise. Pittsburgh is polycentric. Pittsburgh has more than one center. North Oakland is pretty much Pittsburgh's second downtown outside the main downtown. It even has a skyscraper. It decentralizes the city so that people are commuting to a second job center to take the strain off the main job center. It spread jobs throughout the city so that lots of people, isn't commuting to one place. To conquer its unforgiving geography, the city has deployed a one-of-a-kind transportation system, an attempt to form a coherent city from a bunch of isolated neighborhoods. Pittsburgh's transportation system is a hodgepodge of whatever the city could fit in. There's highways running in the valleys and along riverfronts to connect the central portions of the city with its suburbs. Highways in Pittsburgh are known for being confusing to navigate with tight merges on short highway ramps. Instead of putting a highway up and down the steep slopes of the hills, there's tunnels that go right through the hills. This connects the areas on the other side of the hills to the areas on the other side of the hills. Without their tunnels, Pittsburgh is paralyzed. Also, it's super cool seeing the downtown skyline emerge while getting through a bridge after cutting out of the darkness of the tunnel. There's also the T-Light Rail system. The Pittsburgh T is limited coverage. It only connects the stadium and the downtown to the southern suburbs. Pittsburgh's current light rail system is a remnant of its former streetcar system. Only the lines that were in tunnels survived. The current lines only exist because of community activism to save the remaining streetcar lines and upgrade them to a modern light rail system. The city has employed a network of grade-separated bus-only highways known as busways. There are 3 busway lines: the east, west, and the kind of redundant south busway. The busways are built and operate in a way that is similar to a full-fledged metro system. Buses operating on regular streets and roads use the busways as a way for regular buses to skip traffic. This reduces travel times between the suburbs and downtown. The busways are a crucial part of Pittsburgh's public transportation system, but they don't make their presence known at all. Stations are cast under bridges and there's very limited signage towards the stations. The busways are just marked as regular buses. The East Busway, otherwise known as the Martin Luther King Jr. East Busway, makes up for a lack of east-west rail connection. It connects the dense areas of Bloomfield, Shadyside, and East Liberty to the jobs and recreation of downtown Pittsburgh. BRT and busways are useful ways to set up an efficient transportation network for no cost, though the routes that would get a ton of ridership and will end up overcrowded should get built as rail instead. That's a topic for a separate video. Comment below if you want to see that video. Pittsburgh has a mode of transportation that few other cities have. Funicular is also known as inclines. The incline connects the neighborhoods of Mount Washington and Duquesne Heights to the South Shore over what is basically a cliff. Pittsburgh has 2 funicular/inclines. The Monongahela incline has value in that it connects some apartments and the commercial center of Mount Washington to a light rail stop, and a shopping mall with some restaurants. The Duquesne incline, however, is little more than a tourist attraction. There's surface parking lots on the walkshed of the stations of both ends of the line. Not one, but 2 ends of the line. The upper station of the Duquesne incline has an office buildings and some mixed-use buildings in its vicinity. The bottom station, however, has nothing within value but the Riverside. But even then, you can get the Riverside elsewhere in Pittsburgh because there's so many rivers. And there's nothing of value, no buildings, no restaurants, no shops, no things to visit, just nothing of value in walking distance. There's warehouses and freeway ramps, nothing else. Pittsburgh is a city that had to overcome its geographical limitations to bind itself together and build a coherent city. A transit system to bind together the neighborhoods that formed on and in between the hills. There's so much to talk about in this city that I really couldn't cover it all in one video. Thank you for being the 1% of viewers who made it this far in the video. And if you like this video, tell a friend. It really helps the channel. And thanks for watching, I guess.